Let's talk about some issues you may run into when you are writing and formatting source integration for your argumentation essay. This student has a nice formatting done. I think the student has left space for the introduction paragraph, but for the final revision of the essay, make sure there are no extra line spaces between the end of the heading and your title. Of course, the introductory paragraph will go here. These are just body paragraphs, but do make sure you click Tab to indent all of your body paragraphs. Sometimes if you're using Word online, it will, when you download it to the computer, it will take away your indentations and some other little formatting things. So do make sure that you go back and check the formatting before you upload it for a grade. Make sure that your tabs at the beginning of your paragraphs are indented. All right, so the student has a good main idea sentence in brown as I have requested, and then an introductory phrase, and then the quotation fits nicely. Make sure that your quotations flow well with the introductory phrases you use. I have seen students use this formatting, so the author says that. If you do use that, then you need to take away the comma. The word that and the comma do the same job, so you don't need both. In fact, you're not allowed to have both. So make sure that you fix that, or you could just have says and comma, but you can't have says that with the comma. All right, now the student asked, do I need a parenthetical citation if I've used the author's name to introduce the quotation? And the answer, of course, is that it depends on where your works cited starts. If it starts with the author's last name, as it should if there is an author attributed to the source, then what's first in the works cited is Wong, and you have used Wong in the signal phrase, so this is the time where you get to hold the mustard in the quote burger world. You don't have to put the parenthetical citation if whatever you have introduced the source with is the first thing in the works cited for the source. Now, if you don't have the parenthetical citation, then you just finish the sentence with a period at the end and the quotation marks after the period, and then you don't ever have two periods to end a sentence, so just get rid of that second period if you have put that in there and just let that be the end of the sentence. Then you need to comment on what you've quoted, that's the green part, and then the brown sentence at the end connects back to that main idea sentence, so that's good. Now, I have a little space here. I don't want extra spaces between my paragraphs. The next paragraph starts with "some may say," and this is a good way to begin the counterpoint or counter-argument. What does the other side believe? This is not what you believe, so you're going to make sure it's clear to your reader. You haven't suddenly changed your mind in the middle of the essay. You are saying what other people might believe. So some may say, and then give the other side, and then one of their reasons. And then the student does a nice job using a source, because you must give a source for their reasoning. However, when you're using MLA format, MLA prefers present tense verbs to introduce sources. So instead of said, we'll just change that to says. We don't have the word that, so says, comma, because it's a verb of expression that comes just before the quotation. Now I'm noticing that the student probably has copied and pasted. One telltale sign of that is the straight quotation marks. I don't mind that you have copied and pasted, but you might want to go back and fix some of the things like the quotation marks. You don't want anything in bold, even if it's in the original source bold. I'm not sure why it would be unless it was a link somehow in the source. But I do notice that there is a period here, but we still have a parenthetical citation. So we need to first figure out, is this the author of the source? Is this what takes me to the first thing in the works cited? Because if not, then the parenthetical citation should be what's first in the works cited for that source. Now I see the student has written, I think, the article title here, and I have the same title appearing here. One thing about this title, however, that's in the works cited, you never want to put a title both in quotation marks and in italics. Article titles go in quotation marks, not in italics. So let's get rid of the italics there for the student. And in the works cited, end your article title with a period there like that. And this works cited has some other issues. I will link to a video showing you how to do the works cited for an online source if you are not getting the online source from AVL. It looks like this second one is from AVL, and this one appears to be from AVL as well. But we'll talk about works cited in a moment. First we want to see, is Chris Carson one of these authors? And I don't see Chris Carson as the author, but I do see where the student has put this article title here. Now, if we were going to leave the article title, if the article title were first because there was no author listed, then we would go ahead and put the article title in quotation marks. However, I noticed that there is an author for this article. It is in a link, which is a little weird. And I believe that the Trujillo, I don't know how to pronounce this person's name, and I'm sorry for not being able to do so. However, I can spell it by looking carefully. And I don't know why I am in bold, but I will fix that as well. I believe, though, that this is the last name of the author, and then we have first and middle name. So that's how I would format the author's last name, comma, first and middle name in this case. If a middle name is given, you can include that. So we have that here. We don't want it to be bold. So I'm going to right click and bring up this little thing, or I could go to home and go to this one up here. And this is my in my office on my computer. This is not the online version. So there are some differences in the ribbon that you have, different places you do things. So, but okay, so we know that this article is this article. However, this name does not correspond with what's first in the works cited. We need what's first in the works cited to be in the parenthetical citation. That's the rule. I should be able to draw a line from the parenthetical citation to whatever's first in the works cited every time. However, it's weird to say that this person has said something and I am giving credit to this other person. Again, I don't really want that to be bold. So that's weird, right? So I'm saying this person says it, and then I'm giving a parenthetical citation that indicates it's this author. So to make that distinction that this author is quoting Chris Carson in this case, I add quoted in, and then Word will always want that to be capitalized, but I'm going to try to make sure it doesn't. So I just backspaced and fixed that, made it lowercase. So quoted in this source. Okay, so that's how you fix that. Then the student has done a lovely job commenting on this source's belief and then transitioning into the counter argument. However, is a great transition between what the counter argument, transitioning into the rebuttal. So we've given the counter argument with some may say, then citing a source that says what the other side believes, then commenting on it and saying, yes, I understand. And then we have the counter argument. However, then we build back to our own argument with our own source. I like it when students use their best piece of evidence as their rebuttal support. So quote directly your best evidence or a piece of evidence you have found that directly negates or refutes the source that you've quoted. Never leave the counter arguments quotation as the last quotation you use in the essay, because you don't want to leave your reader with the last piece of evidence they read from a professional on the topic. Don't leave them with that last piece of evidence from the other side. That will weaken your whole paper. So go back and do the rebuttal with a piece of evidence from your side. Now, when you finish, don't leave a paragraph with just a quotation at the end. Always do the green part, comment on it, and then the brown part. Tell me how this connects to the thesis, your argument. So the last sentence of every paragraph should go back and remind your reader what your thesis is. What are you arguing? What is your point? All right, before the student gets to that extra writing, let's look at what is in the parenthetical citation, and let's look at how this source is introduced. This is actually a source that it starts with a quotation, which I usually tell students don't do that because I'm scared that you're not going to have the tags that are needed. This student has the tag in the middle, kind of that signal phrase is in the middle. So I'm going to make this red so you can see it. So the student is attributing these words to someone else. So this is one of those rare times I will accept starting with quotation marks, but only because the signal phrase is in the middle. I would prefer it to be Superintendent Michael Hayes says, Michael Hines. So this would be better. I'm going to copy that and put it over here just so you can see the preferred way, because generally if you start with a quotation, you are going to end up with a dropped quote. Students often use dropped quotes. So Superintendent Michael Hines says, or you could use the word claims. So you can vary your verbs of expression that come before quotations. And then you can just backspace here. Even if in the original source it had the breakup of, it had the quote and then in the middle it attributes to a source, then you may go ahead and use it all as one quotation like that. If you're scared that you're leaving something out illegally, use the ellipses to indicate you have left something out. Now let's see, we have Michael Hines. Is Michael Hines one of our authors? No. Let's look at this. When school kids lose their recess. Is that one of the articles? If we were going to leave the article, because if we had an article with no author attributed to the article, we would still need to put the article in quotation marks. But I see that this is the title I'm looking for. Again, I don't want a title to ever be in both quotation marks and italics. Article titles go in quotation marks, then the journal goes in italics. In fact, here's one that should not be all in italics and quotation marks. Article title goes in quotation marks, then this journal title should be in italics. And then this student did ask me about why this the source is a hanging indent. It's all good there, but it didn't quite work out the way the student thought. So just hit backspace until you are even with the rest of the formatting, the 1-inch margin. If I already have one formatted, I'll go ahead and backspace so that it kind of joins the other one, and then hit enter, and my formatting should be right. Another thing for the works cited is make sure these are in alphabetical order. This one, S comes first. So I'm going to put this one first, And make sure that Works Cited is the title of this page. So I'm going to hit enter one time. I'm going to center the title Works because it's more than one work, and